Oh, Willie.
Okay, what am I selecting for audio?
Vince,
Hey, Willie.
what's up?
I'm in.
Okay.
Dustin.
I see
Yeah, on
that
the cell
you're
phone.
logged in as
What-
Dustin.
What audio
So
beacon do I want?
I'm going to
Now I'm
promote you to
plugged into
panelist.
the artist.
Now everybody's on call. You have to go to
Just speakers audio.
Hey, Simon.
Better walk away.
Localizar el icono en forma de mundo en la parte inferior derecha de su pantalla. Una vez que lo haya hecho, seleccionar español como su idioma de preferencia. Ahora comenzará usted a escuchar la interpretación en español. Cualquier persona que requiera estos servicios en persona puede comunicarse con la señorita Patricia en el River Center o con Willy Rosa en el King Gillette Center también. Voy a poner estas instrucciones también vía chatline. Y una cosa muy importante, es muy importante seleccionar modo silencio audio original para evitar escuchar ambos idiomas o ruidos de fondo. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much, Ms. Namasi. For any public comments, online attendees, please sign up using the Q&A button at the bottom center of your Zoom screen. Phone-in attendees, please dial *9 to raise your hand. In-person attendees may fill out a speaker card at the back of the room and hand it to a staff member. Mr. Chair, you are now welcome to call the meeting to order.
Thank you. I'd like to call the 526th joint meeting of the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy and the Santa Monica Mountains Advisory Committee to order for July 20th, 2026. I've asked Ms. Munoz to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
One nation,
Under God,
indivisible.
Thank you, Ms. Munoz. I'd like to read the land acknowledgement, the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. Oh, sorry.
Liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, we're good now. We're good now. You guys can do the land acknowledgement. We're good.
Sorry. Okay. I should have looked up. Appreciate you all. The Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy holds land that originally and still are inhabited by the Fernandeño Tataviam, Gabrielino Tongva, and Ventureño Shumash. We honor and respect their elders and descendants as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. Would you please take roll call for the committee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm sorry I can't be there in person today. I'm under the weather, so I decided to stay at home and not infect anyone. So here we go with the roll call. Mr. Rodriguez,
Here.
Miss Lyle,
Here.
Miss Drake,
Here.
Mr. Fink,
Here.
Miss Munoz,
Here.
Mr. Veras, Mr. Ortega,
Here.
Miss Pavley,
Here.
Mr. Luna.
Present.
A quorum is present.
All right. Over to you, Mr. Anderson.
And James, can you do the advisory committee roll, please?
Yes, sir. Miss Acker, Miss Anderson,
Here.
Miss Brown,
Here.
Mr. Cacciati, Miss Conrad,
Here.
Mr. Corridori,
Here.
Mr. Dennert,
Here.
Miss Fossen, Mr. Garand, Miss James,
Here.
Mr. Kishba,
Here.
Mr. Kraut,
Here.
Mr. Lang,
Here.
Miss Mikos,
Present.
Miss Nelson,
Here.
Mr. Ordubegyan, Ms. Rosen, Mr. Rossman, Mr. Schlangen,
Here.
Ms. Stevens, Mr. Wendler, Mr. Yagparian, Ms. Newsom,
Here.
Mr. Anderson.
Here.
A quorum is present.
Thanks, James.
Thank you. Would any present legislative participants please introduce themselves?
Declan Floyd with Assemblymember Harabedian.
Israel Rodriguez with Supervisor Jeff Carell.
Lauren Heiser Maines with Senator Ben Allen.
James, I think that's everybody else? Okay. Thank you so much for being here and representing your legislators. We're going to go ahead and move into our agenda items. Before we do, just want to remind folks to please put their phones on silent so that there's no disruptions during our agenda items. We're moving on to public comment. If you're online and haven't submitted your name in the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom screen, please do so now. Online attendees, sign up using the Q&A button at the bottom center of your Zoom screen. Phone-in only attendees, dial *9 to raise your hand. In-person attendees, please fill out a speaker card at the back of the room and hand it to a staff member. Individuals have 3 minutes to speak, while those representing organizations have 5 minutes. Staff will notify you when you have 1 minute left. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak? We could start at King Gillette and then we'll come here to the River Center.
There is no one in person. However, there is a gentleman online. Before we get to you, Ryan, who has their hand up, is there anybody at the River Center in person?
There's no one at the River Center.
Thank you, Patricia. Ryan, if you'd like to make a public comment, you may do so now.
Hi, everyone. This is just Ryan Valencia with the Southern Lumberjack Heroine. That's all I want to say.
Oh, hey, Ryan. Okay, then there are no other members of the public online or in person to make public comment.
Okay, then we are moving on to our consent calendar. We have approval of minutes, consideration of a resolution on Grant Prop 4, and consideration of a resolution authorizing a common land to the city of Santa Clarita. Is there a request for anybody to pull any of these items from consent?
Looks like Roseanne has a comment.
Item C, the Santa Clarita one.
Okay, we have a motion to pull C, so we have A and B in the consent calendar. Does anyone have any other concerns or comments? Okay. So,
All right, then we're moving forward. Mr. Anderson, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was gonna say, so we can go ahead and get a motion for A and B on the consent calendar?
Crowd moves A and B.
And a second?
Anderson second.
Okay, great. And then, James, a roll call please on A and B.
I'm sorry, Mr. Anderson, who is the maker of the motion?
It was, yeah, Crowell.
Thank you.
And Anderson seconded. Not me, Anderson. Seconded.
Got it. Miss Anderson?
Aye.
Miss Brown?
Aye.
Miss Conrad?
Yes.
Mr. Corridori?
Yes.
Mr. Dennert?
Yes.
Miss James?
Yes.
Mr. Kishbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Miss Mikos?
Aye.
Miss Nelson?
Yes.
Mr. Schlangen?
Yes.
Miss Newsom?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
The item carries.
This is Stephanie Fossen. I arrived a bit late. I just wanted to say that I also vote yes.
Thank you, Miss Fossen.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, board members, we've heard from the advisory board. Can I get a motion on items A and B?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Ortega, second by Ms. Munoz. Can we get a roll call?
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yes.
Miss Lyle?
Yes.
Miss Drake?
Yes.
Mr. Fink?
Yes.
Miss Munoz?
Yes.
Mr. Ortega?
Yes.
Ms. Pavley,
Yes.
Mr. Luna,
Yes.
the item carries.
Great. All right, we're moving on to discussion items, and we'll go ahead.
We have
have
back
a
to
pulled
C.
item.
Go back to 9C.
We forgot to discuss the item
Yeah,
that was
well,
pulled before.
Yeah,
you
let me do this. Thank you. So we're moving on to discussion items, and since we're going to start with Santa Clarita as part of our discussion items. So first, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, thank you. Can I get on the agenda what's listed as 9C? Can I get a motion for the Belcaro Sand Canyon project? Roseanne, and can I get a second?
I'll second.
And George? Okay, great. Discussion. Roseanne.
Okay, well, I couldn't let this drop because it's probably the longest letter that Paul has ever written. But anyhow, I'm just going to quote one sentence from it that gives, and I'm sure you all thought the same way, but I think it's worth it. When some project is as bad as this project, we shouldn't just let it go without saying something. As proposed, the Belcaro project is a model case of forcing a development project into an incompatible site. This is near the end of the letter. And throughout the whole thing, it's like, it's defective for this, it's defective for that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I just really wanted to thank Paul and staff for being so thorough. I do have a couple of minor details that I'll give to Paul later, that there's a couple of sentences that are missing some words and stuff like that. They don't need to be
Grammatical, not
right.
content.
Right. They're
Yeah.
basically just to for clarity and so forth. And I told him already before the meeting that I would give those to him. But I just think that it is really, really shocking that you could have a project this bad. And I hope that Paul and the staff thinks that we'll have an influence. I have no idea, but I'm wondering if we will, because this is one of the worst ones I've ever seen.
George.
Yes, I would totally concur, and I appreciate you bringing that up, because when I started to look at that, I says, are you kidding me? I mean, this is really repulsive, and the fact that they're pushing it, Santa Clarita, makes me feel bad. That concludes my comments.
Anyone else? Brian.
I'll offer a friendly amendment to allow cleanup of commas and grammar and such.
Excellent. Any other comments? See none, with the recommendation of 9C with those grammatical adjustments. Can we get a roll call vote? James, please.
Mr. Anderson, Miss Anderson, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Miss Brown,
Yes.
Miss Conrad,
Yes.
Mr. Corridori,
Yes.
Mr. Dennert,
Yes.
Miss Fossen,
Yes.
Miss James,
Yes.
Mr. Kishba,
Yes.
Mr. Kraut,
Yes.
Mr. Lang,
Yes.
Miss Mikos,
Aye.
Miss Nelson,
Abstain.
Mr. Rossman,
Yes.
Mr. Schlangen,
Yes.
Miss Newsom,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
That carries with one abstention.
Thank you, James. Board members, we've heard from the advisory board on consideration of resolution authorizing a comment letter to the city of Santa Clarita regarding the proposed Belcaro at Sand Canyon project. Can I get a motion? Moved by Ms. Munoz,
Second.
second by Mr. Ortega. James?
Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Miss Lyle,
Yes.
Miss Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Fink,
Yes.
Miss Munoz,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Miss Pavley,
Yes.
Mr. Luna.
Yes.
The item carries.
Great. Moving on to item A of the discussion items, consideration of resolution approving the final budget for fiscal year 26-27 with the MRCA. Mr. Anderson.
Yes. Can I get a motion for the final budget for 26-27?
I'll move to approve it.
Brian, thank you. Any second?
I'll second.
Kraut. Excellent. Great. Any discussion?
I had some questions about it.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Well, and I'd be happy to give a little presentation before.
Please
Yeah.
do. Please.
Okay. Thank you, Chair, Conservancy Advisory Committee. I'm Melissa. I'm the Director for Management Services for Caneo Rec and Park. Before I dive into the budget, I did want to say thank you on behalf of CRPD for our $2 million grant. We closed on our Hillcrest acquisition on June 30. So we own the 2 historical buildings and 60 acres of parkland, and we saved our theater and Hillcrest Center for the Arts. And we're currently developing plans for 401 Hillcrest, the former National Park Service office space. So thank you again. We appreciate the Conservancy support for that acquisition. So anyway, on to the MRCA budget. So a refresher for you all, the MRCA is a joint powers authority of the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, Caneo Recreation and Park District, and the Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District, which means every year all 4 boards get to see this budget. And this year you are the last. So Rancho, Caneo, and MRCA have already seen this. There's no preferential treatment. It's just the way the schedules work. But so the MRCA is a really unique organization. So the budget is really complex and unique too. So I'm going to just walk through the actual documents to give you an overview of it, and then I can open it up to questions for everybody. So I'm going to share my screen. And feel free to interrupt me or ask questions as we go too. I'm totally happy to do that.
Actually, Melissa, I'd rather you get through the presentation and then we'll get into questions.
Okay, no problem. So hopefully you can see my screen. This is the very high level summary page. It's the first attachment to the item. At the top, you've got the expected revenues of 68.3 million, expecting 200,000 from our reserves. And then the big broad categories of our expenses are below. So we've got the personnel, professional contract, operating, grants, land acquisition, equipment, debt service, and general contingency. On this part, I just wanted to highlight for you that of our 68.3 million budget, that over half of that is grant acquisition, grant disbursements, land acquisition, and capital equipment. It just shows about 50% of this is those one-time big projects, and the other 50% is about our operating. So just wanted to highlight that for you. The very next page is our revenue breakdown, and it gives you the prior year information with budget and actuals. Something to flag for you is what we call our enterprise revenue. So revenue that we generate from properties we manage has generally been decreasing since about 2020. And you can kind of see that trend going down, but we did have some good news this year. And that's the first note here is for our special events. We have secured a new event at King Gillette Ranch called Symphony of Flowers. So we're able to increase that. It's still not at that pre-2020 levels, but we're excited to increase that. And then the other things on the revenues, again, just to emphasize the grant amounts, those are largely related to those land acquisition and capital projects that were highlighted on the expense side. So you'll see them almost mirror each other. Going to the expenses, same, we've got the prior year information just to give you some context. I did want to flag for you the personnel expenses, salaries and benefits. We are budgeting a decrease. As I mentioned in the previous slide, our enterprise revenues have been decreasing. So those positions that were most dependent on those funds, we have eliminated. We did that a few different ways. There were a couple positions that were just eliminated. A few were vacant positions that hadn't been filled for multiple years. So we just removed them from the budget without having to actually terminate any employment. And then finally, we did offer a retirement incentive for some of our long tenured employees in order to reduce that personnel number there. The other very exciting news on our expenses is our insurance premiums. So for years, the MRCA has been getting insurance on the open market. This year, MRCA has joined CAPRI, California Association of Rec and Park Indemnity. It's an insurance pool that both Caneo Rec and Park and Rancho Simi Rec and Park are also members of. And so our savings from last year to this year from that is anticipated to be about 2.5 million. So we're really excited about that because that helps us a lot with our general fund. And then finally, I just wanted to highlight again the 10 million in grant disbursements. That's primarily for the wildlife crossing and some of the camp rebuilds that we were given funds and project management responsibility from for the resources agency. But the biggest overall category is land acquisition and capital improvements. Highlights for that are Sweetwater Primrose, the promissory note, and then Caballero Creek and El Dorado, and of course, Temescal. Those are the highlights from the expenses. The rest of the pages that you got, I think are there like 4 pages, are all the 197 individual tasks that we track throughout the budget year and all those different codes. These are what staff get to code their time and any expenses to as the year goes on. So I will stop there and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great. Any questions? It sounds like.
I have one, Halen. Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for that breakdown. I was wondering if you, because there's a lot here for Malibu, and we're really grateful for all of the expenditures that you guys give to us, but are there anything a little bit more detailed? Because I see things like line item 191 Lechuza, which is the beach, 259,308. Line item 93 Ramirez Water Infra, 321,524. Izumi Trail Stewardship, line item number 3, 67,720. Lechuza Beach Access, line item number 76, 55,679. Line item 67, Malibu Bluffs Campgrounds, 1,679. These are all amazing, but I just wonder if there's a little bit more detail that the city can get. Like, I mean, Malibu Bluffs was Porco Canyon, 455,773. These are a lot of money. Malibu Beach's app, we have line item 53. I was wondering if there's an app that you guys have for the Malibu beaches, because I'd love to know about that. So those are some of my questions. Or do we get like a little bit more detail?
So the tasks that you're seeing on that list, they typically represent a funding source with a discrete rules about how we can spend it. And so that's why we have them grouped by those task numbers. That's typically why they're created. With what's not given to you, every single one of those tasks probably has 50 to 75 different subcodes under it that break down the expenses anticipated in there. So if we gave you every detailed line, you'd have honestly hundreds and hundreds of pages of detail. What I'd be happy to do is if there's a specific question or analysis you want us to do, we can provide that, but it's not something that's tracked in our system that way, because it's tracked by typically the scope of whatever that grant or funding source is allowing. It's not just we don't have something that just says this is everything in Malibu or Palisades or City of LA. We don't track it that way because that's not how the money works. Am I making sense?
Yeah, it would be nice to work together and just, I guess, know more about some of these charges or these tasks, which would be great, because I know like we have now cameras on the trail of Winding Way. It would be nice to have the communication. We could talk about that. Like, if it's in the city of Malibu, it would be nice to have that discussion. Thank you so much.
Yeah, one thing we might be a little bit of a intermediary is, we have voted on all these things or the majority of these things, and perhaps we can just sort of point to the record for those ones, and there's a lot of detail in the proposals about what we're doing. That might be a little bit easier than the staff having to sort of go through.
Fiscal year 26-27. I don't remember voting on a lot of these.
Some of them are, I'll just say, some of them are multi-year.
Oh, okay. Prior to my sitting. Okay. Maybe history, but I wouldn't want to ask staff for that. So how would be the best way of obtaining some of that information?
So I can give you a quick tip. If you ever wanted to go into, if there's a grant number in there where it says something like GF2272, the first 2 digits are the year in which that grant was awarded.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So if you ever want to do some research, but again, if you have some specific requests, we're happy to do the research and analysis for you. I would just need some kind of parameters and then we can do that.
Sean, would it be accurate to say if you were looking at the past minutes of our meetings?
Yes.
And you found that, then you
Yes.
could read the staff report
Yes.
of that?
Yes.
For that grant?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, so we vote on these, so a consortium of all of our different agencies, but we vote on these things as well for the most part. So
Do you get like progress reports? Like you vote for it and then does it ever come back to you to talk about like this is completed or?
No, but we do have an annual year report, and in that report we'll say all the stuff we've done this year and stuff. So but we don't typically get we're 75% through with this year, but we see what we've done that year.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Melissa, I have a question. So about the insurance, so great that we're able to save money. Is that, my ignorance here, but is that, obviously that's liability for our park and people that come and walk on the trails and such. Is that also replacement for things like fire damage and stuff, or is that only a liability type of insurance?
So it includes general liability, worker comp, fire, and auto. So it's kind of all grouped together. The way Capri works is they, forgive me for the shorthand, but they call it a fire donut, where the first 150,000 is insured. Then there's a gap between 150 to 5 million. That's typically the range where FEMA or emergency declarations cover, and then above 5 million is where they cover it again. So there's a new structure for the fire insurance, but everything else is general liability, workers' comp, and all of that.
Thank you. And is that, and just so I understand, is that if it's whatever 10 million, is that assessed on a per parcel per site basis, or is that for all of the holdings of our organization?
It would be per incident.
Oh, sorry, no, got that. But sorry, if we had like $5 million damage on parcel A and $5 million damage on parcel B, does that count like $10 million, or do they treat them as separate parcels?
I think it would be dependent on if it was in one incident or if those were two different fires.
But if it was one incident, it would be considered unified.
That's my understanding. Okay. I don't know that they've addressed that situation before, but that would be my understanding right now. Yeah.
Thank you. Other questions about the budget stuff? Yeah.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm sorry. Thank you very much for the presentation. I did have just one question. I was wondering how many individuals, how many employees does the personnel salary and wages line item include?
So it's about 120 full-time employees, and then we bring on seasonal staff, like seasonal firefighters, for I think it's another 20 or 30.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I have a question. On the revenue side, just on grants, it seems like there's just been such a steady decline, but particularly in for this next budget. Just what's the reason for that so I can understand?
So the grants others is primarily the pass-through grants, largely for the wildlife corridor that is winding down. So it's just you start with the bigger amount and then it's starting to get spent out. And I think it's anticipated, Rory can help me, December.
December of this year.
Yeah, and then that also includes some of the camp rebuilds from Resources Agency, where the original grant was awarded a few years ago and we're slowly spending it down. So it's the cumulative effect of multiple grants that are slowly being spent out.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like no more questions from here. Do you guys have any at the River Center?
None here.
Okay, then thank you for the presentation, Melissa. So with that, James, can we do roll call for this item, please?
Yes, sir. Ms. Acker? Yes. Ms. Anderson?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cacciati?
Yes.
Ms. Conrad?
I'm going to abstain, please.
Mr. Corridori?
Yes.
Mr. Denner?
Yes.
Ms. Fossen?
Yes.
Ms. James?
Yes.
Mr. Kishba?
Yes.
Mr. Kraut?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
Ms. Mikos,
Aye.
Ms. Nelson,
Yes.
Mr. Rossman,
Yes.
Mr. Schlangen,
Yes.
Ms. Newsom,
Yes.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
That carries with one abstention.
Thank you, James. Board members, can I get a motion and a second, please?
I'll motion, Fink.
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Fink.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Ortega. Is there any questions or discussions from the board members? All right, hearing none. James, can you please do the roll call?
Yes, sir. Mr. Rodriguez,
Yes.
Ms. Lyle,
Yes.
Ms. Drake,
Yes.
Mr. Fink,
Yes.
Ms. Munoz,
Yes.
Mr. Ortega,
Yes.
Ms. Pavley,
Yes.
Mr. Luna.
Yes.
The item carries.
Great. We're moving on to discussion item 2, a presentation by the California Wildfire and Forest Resilience Task Force on the Wildfire and Landscape Resilience Action Plan. Staff?
Mr. Chairman, we're lucky to have with us, by the miracle of electronics, Patrick Wright. We first encountered Patrick somewhere up in the Tahoe Basin, and he was the executive officer of the California Tahoe Conservancy. And he did such a good job of saving Tahoe, the governor said, you know what, we have some larger plans for you. And he said, oh, really? What? Well, we're going to put you in charge of the Wildfire and Forest Resilience Task Force. And that's a pretty hefty responsibility. And he has wielded that heft very responsibly because he's worked with us in a number of different projects, and we've worked with him. And we thought you all ought to know about what we're doing in conjunction with everything else that the state of California has been doing during the past 7.5 years. So, Patrick.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Appreciate this opportunity, and I must say it is quite an honor. Having, as Joe said, worked up at the Tahoe Conservancy more than 15 years. I had the benefit of the wise counsel of Joe and Rory during that time, and really learned quite a bit about how conservancies can be effective and productive across the state. So thank you for having me. I have been now the director of the governor's task force for the last 5 or 6 years. Thought it would be helpful just to run through a very short summary of what we're up to. Your organization is obviously at the heart of a lot that's going on in wildfire country throughout the state. So it's a great time to do that. I'm gonna share my screen if I can figure out how to make this work. Seeing it now. That is not right.
Almost had it.
Mr. Wright, if you'd like, we could share for you and you could just direct as we move forward, if you wish, up to you.
I'm not.
I think we have it and can share it for you, Patrick.
Okay.
Bear with
Great
me.
to have it back up.
There we go.
All right, let's just dive right in with the next slide. For those of you who aren't all that familiar with the task force, the most recent version was established roughly 5 or 6 years ago when I joined the task force. We immediately put together the state's first overall plan Up until then, a lot of state agencies, federal agencies have their own siloed programs dealing with wildfire resilience. So the point of this plan was to put all of that in one place so that you and other key agency folks, leaders, stakeholders could see all of the key programs of all the key agencies in one place, together with 100 specific actions on how we were moving together to get in front of the state's wildfire crisis. Next slide. Our executive committee speaks to the spirit of the task force, which is to try to align state, federal, local, tribal, and private efforts. We've got cabinet secretaries, we've got federal leads, we've got local leads of the counties, and we have a tribal rep. And so that's basically our executive committee. We also have a number of interagency work groups and an interagency staff as well. Next slide. Our signature events take place twice a year. We have 2 in Sacramento, but the 2 we do in the regions really are when things come together. We tend to get hundreds of people coming to these meetings all over the state because they're a fabulous forum for local leadership to have an audience with Secretary Crowfoot, the head of CAL FIRE, a bunch of state leaders, to have some really candid conversations about what's working, what's not working, and how we can do better to try to align our efforts, particularly at the state level, to help you get the job done regionally. Next slide. We've obviously accomplished a lot collectively in the last 6 years. Between state and federal agencies, we've spent over $6 billion on wildfire resilience. That's enabled us to ramp up our treatments to over 700,000 acres, including a doubling of prescribed fire in Northern California. We've streamlined regulatory processes, as I hope you're aware of. We just came through this process where over 450 projects have been permitted in 30 days. It's quite an accomplishment. We're now in the midst of conversations with the legislature on how to extend that process permanently in the future. We're building regional capacity. For the first time, the Department of Conservation has had over $100 million to invest, not just in on-the-ground, shovel-ready projects, but building the regional capacity of local and regional groups so that we can level the playing field. So not just the most sophisticated groups get money for their projects, but throughout the state, we can build the capacity for all agencies to try to address the crisis. We've also developed a broad set of interagency strategies on everything from reforestation to private landowner assistance, recreation, managed fire, et cetera, that have also been one of the hallmarks. Again, in most of these cases, individual agencies have had their own siloed programs, but these are opportunities to develop shared strategies among all of those agencies. So they have common goals, common sets of priorities, linked budgets, more leveraging, et cetera. And then finally, we've developed a whole new set of data and tools. We have an interagency tracking system now. You can go online and you can see where every project, state and federally funded project in the last 5 or 6 years has been completed, what the key agency was, what the project was it a prescribed fire project, a thinning project, a fuel break, et cetera. So come a long way in trying to move the system forward. That, of course, gives us a great start towards our update. As the next slide shows, we have a 5-year mandate. We have a mandate every 5 years to update our plan. We're now, we have the benefit of a strong foundation. As the next slide shows, if you go ahead, a couple more here. There's been a lot of raging debates in the last 5 years over what works, what doesn't. The questions like, if you can go back one, do fuel breaks work? Does thinning work? So we actually asked our science advisory panel to actually pull together a document on where the science agrees and where we need more research. So you can look for that online to give you sort of firsthand information on the latest scientific information on wildfire resilience. Again, we've done a lot to build capacity, streamline processes, investing in science. All of this gives us the ability to take things to the next level as we move forward. as we thought about how to structure this plan, as the next slide shows, we've oriented the three major components. All of these are obviously linked, but we have a coherent landscape strategy, we have a community preparedness strategy, and we have a framework to take advantage of the great regional networks out there to actually get the job done. So what I'm going to do is just walk you through briefly some of the highlights of each of these strategies. Starting with the landscape resilience strategy in the next slide. Some of the highlights include really making a laser focus on high hazard, dense landscapes and landscapes that are high risk for ignitions. Our data and our science says if we can focus on those high priority landscapes, we get 3 to 4 times the effectiveness than we otherwise would. Northern California, a big emphasis on expanding beneficial fire. Reforestation is a big issue now, increasingly everywhere with these big mega fires. We're simply not able to get the kind of natural regeneration that you would expect. So we're having to do a lot more active reforestation of forests throughout the state. We're committed to building a fuel break network also for a variety of reasons to help reduce the spread of fires, to provide places where firefighters can make a stand, et cetera, and also pave the way in Northern California for greater use of managed fire. Of course, none of this is impossible if we don't accelerate our workforce, wood utilization, and private landowner assistance programs. So we have large interagency strategies underway in each of those areas, and a big emphasis on tribal stewardship as well. So that's just a short summary of the many elements of our landscape resilience strategy. That's paired, as our next slide said, with an equally strong, if you can flip one more forward, an equally strong, sorry, I got ahead of myself on some of these with the restoring prescribed fire landscapes. Keep going. Keep going. One more. One more. On the community side, big emphasis on structure protection through our Zone 0 defensible space. Obviously, most of you are familiar with much of what's going on in this space. We're largely deferring here to the Board of Forestry and CAL FIRE on this. We're also putting a lot more emphasis on county-based strategies and work along roadways and utility corridors, particularly in Southern California. Big partnerships with Caltrans and utilities started in Southern California and is now moving throughout the state. And then finally, as I mentioned before, a large emphasis on data standards and statewide targets. Finally, and this is really where I want to emphasize things, we're committed at the Sacramento level not to dictate from here where we should be doing treatments, but giving local and regional agencies the tools they need to scale up. Everything from planning to permitting to reporting to funding. And I'll try to walk you through a couple of examples of this from Southern California. Next slide. So what the next slide is attempting to show is that the Department of Conservation is leading the development of several regional priority plans, which are really intended to pull together all of the landscape-related projects of the Forest Service, CAL FIRE, RCDs, other regional groups to try to coordinate and integrate those plans on a landscape level. And then on the community level, CAL FIRE is increasingly looking at county level community wildfire plans so we can better integrate all the great wildfire resilience work that gets done in CWPs with transportation, with housing, with smoke management, and other things that often happen at the county level. The next slide gives you a flavor of where we've been. Southern California, we have funded hundreds and hundreds of projects in the last several years. As you can see from this slide, we've tracked them both by agency and by type. And we have a lot of data, as the next slide shows, that these projects are hitting the mark. PPIC has said that 83% of the projects that we funded are hitting high priority areas. That's good news. The bad news is when you fund 2,000 projects, it means 5,000 grant applications. It means 2,000 sets of crews, 2,000 workforce requirements, 2,000 permits. We're simply not going to get ourselves out of this crisis if we continue working on a project by project basis. So the number one priority of the task force right now is to try to scale up. As you can see from this next slide, Southern California is leading the way. Where CAL FIRE, they combine both forest health, wildfire prevention grants, together with another 10 million from the Forest Service and from NFF to give a fairly large block grant to Southern California that then was translated into 6 sub-regional grants covering 23 sites and 20 partners. This is going to be the wave of the future. Again, a shift from project by project funding to block grants for regional plans. We think it's way more efficient, way more effective. It rewards regional agencies like yours for having their act together, for pulling together partners, for developing broad-based support, for integrating projects at the local level. We think that should be rewarded rather than having projects within your jurisdiction compete against each other for state funding. So look for this in the future as the wave of what's coming. As you can see for the next slide, this is not just an idea. Well, I should say for this next slide, one of the other benefits of this approach is that you're much able to evaluate the effectiveness of projects. As we've gone through, what this slide shows is a number of grant programs are underway at CAL FIRE, Sierra Nevada Conservancy, RFFC program, all focused on moving regionally and away from a project by project focus. So the next slide shows we're trying to pull all of this together as part of one comprehensive plan for mobilizing regional action, everything from interagency planning to more focused priority setting, moving towards block grants away from single agency projects, moving towards a one-stop shop for permitting, developing partnerships with RCDs and joint powers authorities like yours to get programs funded, and shifting our emphasis from acres treated to outcome-based measures to evaluate results. So we are truly, through this process, through your help, transforming how we get work done across the state, with Southern California leading the way. Next slide. And again, we're going to build on our systems to track this work. We do have an interagency tracker, as I said, and we're on the verge of establishing a wildfire resilience data hub that will take things even to the next level to give all of our local and regional agencies the tools they need to better plan, prioritize, and report on the effectiveness of projects. So I hope that gives you at least a flavor of some of the things that are going on. We're in the middle now of a 60-day partner review period. This was meant to be just a teaser to give you a flavor of the magnitude of the plan, the significance of it, and the fact that it is regional based. More than anything else, the purpose of the plan, again, is to give local and regional agencies the tools they need to scale up. I should also add that we're launching a brand new chaparral management and conservation strategy. Rory is the co-lead of the work group that's pulling that together. So you're going to hear a lot more about that in the future as well. If you want to keep up with what we're doing, our next meeting is up in Humboldt. You can participate online. And of course, we have regular communications through our newsletter, regular monthly update, and reports through our various state agencies. So thank you again. I know that was does do justice to the magnitude of work that's happening. But again, I want to appreciate, say thanks to the Conservancy team for helping us with all the efforts in Southern California. We really look to your staff to guide us on how to make sure we're hitting the mark and aligning state and federal work in ways that better help you guys get your work done. So thank you again, Joe and Rory, and happy to answer any brief questions people have and follow up as appropriate through email or other approaches.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Mr. Edmiston, do you want to add anything before opening it up for questions?
Joe?
Patrick said it all.
Mr. Anderson, do you want to field any, if people have any?
Anybody have any questions here starting us off? I'll have one while you guys think of one. So can you talk a little bit about, I know it's not necessarily the purview of the task force. I've attended many of the sessions virtually. I've missed out on the field trips, but I think they're fantastic. And if people have a chance to attend these, they've been quite great. And I'd say, honestly, also very honest conversations. So sometimes uncomfortable things are discussed, but I think in a good, healthy, constructive way. But my question is about what we find from our polling is that people that have been impacted by wildfires, that's a major determinant in how they see some state policies and how in their trust of government and all that kind of stuff. One of the dimensions of that is obviously insurance. And one of the things that frequently the folks that we poll in Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, Ventura County ask about is, you know, we're spending all this money on acres treated and various endeavors, but we're not seeing it manifest in terms of our risk profile, in terms of the perception of the insurers and stuff. And that is a pretty clear hot spot in terms of how our community is the lens through which they're seeing stuff. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about, I know that's not exact, you don't have control.
No, it's a great question. And again, you know, we try to have candid conversations. And I think part of the reason for that, not the sole reason, but part of the reason for that is we have much better data and risk tools at the landscape scale than the community scale. The landscape scale, we've got satellite data that will tell me the structure and health of every 3-meter parcel in the entire state, right? So we have vegetation models, we have fire models. We're in fabulous shape when it comes to landscapes. We're not quite there on the community side. We're getting there. But so-called fire models that show how fire spreads from structure to structure are just evolving. So we don't quite have that capability as we do on the landscape scale to be able to say in a community, this combination of measures between defensible space, home hardening, fuel breaks is going to give you this result in your community. That makes it hard for insurance companies to accurately price their policies. The other thing that makes it hard for insurance companies is we don't know every resident. If one resident has State Farm and the next one has Travelers and the third one has somebody else, we don't have really good data on what everybody's doing. There are efforts underway to try to address that problem with insurance companies themselves because they see the value of sharing that data in a way that doesn't conflict with their confidentiality provisions. But we're on the verge. I'd say we're about a year away from having the data and tools on the community side that we do on the landscape side that's going to transform how we evaluate risk and how we can evaluate the variety of measures that are underway in communities across the state to better measure their effectiveness. Once we get there, I think you'll see insurance companies and we'll see a transformation in how pricing gets done and all that. Candidly, insurance companies right now are winging it a bit. But once we get better data and better models, I think homeowners and communities will be in a much better position to know if they implement certain measures, they will get a discount for sure because we have models and data that will back that up. We're just not quite there yet.
Cool, thanks.
So, Patrick, this is awesome. Thank you. I am a city council member in Agoura Hills, still relatively new and still figuring out a little bit how all of this works. And I loved your third prong around regional resilience. And we in Agoura Hills have developed a wildfire protection plan. But what I'm hearing you say is you're moving away from agency by agency and more into, which makes a whole lot of sense, into regional planning, rewarding those who are doing regional work. So as I go back to my city and advise my city manager on what I'm hearing here, what should I be suggesting he do? How can we then be plugging in? And I get the sense that you're going to say, organized regionally, and I'm looking across the table at my fellow city council member from Calabasas and over the table at Rory, but just curious how you're seeing this play out in areas and what you would suggest.
Sure. And certainly Rory can jump in here, but the ultimate goal is to have 6 regional priority plans for Southern California, including one for the Santa Monica Mountains area. And if all goes right, those plans will have every state park, every Forest Service, every RCD, every Caltrans, every utility project, so that we can model and assess the benefits of those collectively. That's the ultimate goal. If we can do that, and Southern California, again, is far ahead. We've got, so far, what I'm told is we've got planned projects for pretty much all of those 6 areas. Once we have those planned projects and are able to model them, we can then go to the legislature and we can go to the administration and say, Santa Monica area has got 152 projects that cost, $200 million. But if you invest in them, here's your reduction in fire risk. Here's your ecological benefits. Here's your water quality benefits. Here's your carbon benefits. It's going to give us a much, much stronger foundation to be able to sell our program to raise money. So yes, my message to every locality is get yourself into these regional priority plans, because that's where money is going to be flowing.
That's brilliant. Can I, and where I see you about to speak to this. So what I'm hearing you say is that there are already 6 regions in Southern California. So we just need to figure out which region Agora Hills is in.
You're already in it.
We're already in it.
Our
See, this is my
FFC
ignorance.
program.
Other people I'm sure know. Okay, great.
And Patrick, I think you would agree that having individual community wildfire protection plans for communities and cities is still a really good tool.
Yes, no, absolutely. But the issue, as you can imagine, at the state level, is when you've got hundreds and hundreds, literally, of CWBPs. San Diego County has, dozens of them. Makes it really challenging to try to fund from the state level and to try to align those efforts. So we don't want to disincentivize, obviously, communities from getting their act together, but we want them to be able to roll up and to be aligned with adjacent projects of other organizations in the same area, so that you get the power of collective action with all of those projects.
Okay, that's awesome. Thank you.
Great. Helen.
Thank you. Yes, I'm a lot like Councilmember Anderson. I'm new. I'm from Malibu. I appreciate this because there's just so much information. I've been to maybe 40 of these types of different meetings. Is Malibu in the RFFC program?
You're part of
the whole
Yes,
regional?
all of the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy is one of the RFFC recipients, and it's part of one of the 6 regions, so Santa Monica Mountains proper.
And that stands for Regional
Forest and Fire Capacity Program.
I'm going to write that down. Thank you.
From the Department of Conservation.
Okay, and then, so if we wanted to come to the Sacramento meeting, would we need an invite or?
Oh, no, our meetings are public. We've got a regional meeting that's going to be in the North Coast in October, and then another meeting back in Sacramento in December.
December 11th, I saw that.
And they're all on Zoom, so you can also attend.
Oh,
you don't have to go,
okay,
you don't have to
great.
physically
Okay,
go there if you don't want to.
That's super. I was also wondering if you guys are doing anything with undergrounding. So in Malibu, we're dealing with undergrounding SCE, which are the energized poles, but they're leaving the other poles, which are less energized. But still, the poles do pose a hazard. In Palisades, we had poles falling and fire engines couldn't get up roads. So are you guys working with anything to help mitigate that for the future?
Well, not specifically. Again, we're relying on local and regional areas to set the priorities. You're not going to hear from Sacramento that a certain area needs to be undergrounded or not. We're relying on these regional plans where regional entities like yourselves get together and say, these are our priorities, because every part of the state's different. They have unique, resources at risk, unique fire risk, et cetera. So our mantra is, how do we give you the tools and resources you need to make those choices? In other words, is undergrounding give you a better payoff than alternatives? There's a lot of fairly sophisticated so-called decision support systems and other modeling systems that we can make available to you and others to help answer that question.
Okay, yes, because every time I've spoken to the providers like Frontier or Spectrum, they say it comes down from Sacramento and it needs to be funded, or SPUC. So I'm just trying to
Right.
figure out
Yes.
that channel. But thank you so much.
I think they're probably talking about the utility commission.
CPUC, yeah.
Right. That's not, yeah.
These guys are dealing with fire and funding, I'm hearing.
Yeah,
And
and this is an
resiliency.
integrated effort. What you're talking about is one particular sector's rules for dealing with their particular stuff.
Right.
Roseanne?
So is the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy part of the map, does that include the whole Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy zone and the Rim of the
Yes,
Valley Trail
the whole
Corridor?
zone, right.
The whole, so everybody that has a seat at this table, their jurisdiction is in it?
Yes.
And is it any bigger than that? Ours? I don't know.
No, there's the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy also has.
They
is
have
a
their own,
grantee,
it looked
yeah,
like, right?
and
Theirs was their, I thought.
Irvine Ranch Conservancy,
Okay.
San Diego RCD, the Inland
Okay.
Empire RCD, and the Inland Empire.
Okay.
Willie, can you put
Community
up the map
Foundation.
for a second? From the presentation, could you just pop up the map real quick? Maybe
It
there's
showed the
seems to be a
6
lot of
areas.
questions about
Yeah.
area.
1 second. Yes, of course.
And while Willie's pulling that up, I'm going to go ahead and ask another dumb question. If we didn't, did we get the slides? That'll show the dumb question, because maybe we did and I missed it. And if not, could we get them?
Oh, that'd be great.
Yes, of course. I'll be happy to share the PowerPoint.
That would be great.
Yeah.
They'll be on YouTube.
Yeah, Peter Kraut from the city of Calabasas. I just want to mention that, using a grant from the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, we put together a fire mitigation resiliency plan in Calabasas for our community. And what I'm hearing here today is that moving forward, we're going to see more grants coming to the region as opposed to the local cities. And I think one of the purposes of us putting that plan together was so that we had a tool to apply for these grants. If the grants aren't going to be coming to the local cities, but rather to the region, I guess my question to this group is there value in what we've done? Is that a tool that we should be sharing with the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy so that it can be integrated into a larger regional plan, or is that a disposable document at this point?
No, I'd say it's still a very useful document, and Sarah Kevorkian, who heads up our RFFC program, was working with both City of Calabasas and City of Agoura Hills for your CWPP meetings, and yeah, just share.
Okay, so the information that we've done, we're through the same consultant then, so the information that we've prepared will be automatically folded into the
Yes.
regional plan?
Yes.
Great.
I think the answer. I think the thing is, so now it's what is our regional priorities as opposed to going up against everybody across the state when we apply for the funds is the idea.
Yeah, there's no sense beating out Agoura Hills for a grant if we can only protect our side of the border and the fire is going to spread anyways, right? Not that I take money from you, Kate.
Backyard fence line sign.
I understand, Fran.
So if I can then, if I could just play this out. At the county level, I'm sure you guys are at the city level as well, we use FireWise, FireSafe. We're really pushing that quite a bit. But I feel like that model still hasn't been quite carried out. So when you're talking about the community model and we can start getting more data, would it then be so that at a regional level, if we identify a group like FireWise, FireSafe, is doing, we could arm them with more grant money to then better serve our constituents? Would that run through this? Is that an example of where we would look at something like this?
If there's a block grant, yes, that would be the way to go.
So real quick, this is, folks were asking who's where or what jurisdiction. I think this map shows we're the orange in
Yeah, and
this.
the crosshatch is the overlap jurisdiction with RMC.
Yeah, and let me emphasize, local efforts are absolutely vital. The purpose of having these 6 subregions is to be able to roll those up to get dozens of projects funded at one time. So those local efforts are really vital. It's just there's a new way of delivering funding to those local efforts rather than applying individually. That'll still be possible, but you can also be funded through a block grant that's intended to cover multiple sites and multiple partners at one time. It's an effort to scale up a lot more quickly than if we try to fund each of those smaller efforts that you've mentioned individually.
And just one small possible example is with our Prescribed Burn Association, we have to have a fire boss for every fire, and we have to have that person insured and hired and everything on our projects. And it would be great if that person could be shared with another city or another groups. But right now you can't, because right now when you apply for it, you have to show that you have person X, and person X has all these trainings and stuff. So one example could be doing more treatment, but having, just as safe an operation, but not having to repeat the bureaucracy of verifying this individual every single time and all the money and time that goes into that. So I think that's also part of the block grant movement idea. I think.
Mr. Wright, hold on, Mr. Anderson. Any questions here? I have some questions here from the River Center. Go ahead, Ms. Brown.
Yes, Caroline Brown, Sierra Madre Mountain Conservancy. I have a question about the way in which Zone 0 is understood by the populace, because many communities actually live in oak woodlands, and their houses are very close to oak trees that acted as a fire foil in many fires and lifted the embers directly over properties. And we want to understand what you are talking about when it comes to the science of the fire science, agreeing with the practice. So Zone 0 seems to need more refinement so people will understand what that means going forward.
And we're largely deferring to the Board of Forestry's process there. I mean, obviously we're aware of it, we're tracking it, but you'd have to, address any questions you have on Zone 0 to them.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. I have another question. Go ahead.
Thank you. Stephanie Fossen from La Cañada. I'm curious if you can talk a little bit more about the strategy around fuel breaks. We are located right next to where the Eaton fire came through, and it's my understanding that getting some fuel breaks in was one of the things that really helped stop the fire from spreading further west than it did. I understand from our fire service that they are actually maintaining those, but there is, as I understand it, no effort at this point to create more. Additionally, for us, it seems like across the San Gabriel Valley, that would be an area that would need coordination between the Rivers and Mountains Conservancy and the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. And so I'm curious how, as we're talking regionally, how that's going to work across regions, particularly in the vein of fuel breaks.
Yeah, it's a great question. So what this presentation doesn't do justice to is the great Southern California as a whole larger regional effort that's going that's taking place right now. There's a montane strategy that covers all the montane forests of Southern California that the Forest Service is leading. They own most of those, but not all of them. There's an ignition reduction strategy, which is co-led by the Forest Service and Caltrans, that's looking at the entire highway network in Southern California. And then there's a third effort that is just beginning, which is to try to link the fuel breaks in Southern California between what CAL FIRE is doing, what the Forest Service is doing, and what local agencies are doing. Because we agree with you, these systems all work much better if they're regional wide. In fact, this grant is a good example where this grant actually went to the Southern California region as a whole, as opposed to 6 sub-regional grants. And we do sort of see that as the future, both regional grants to Southern California as a whole for some of these region-wide strategies, and then sub-regional grants to the 6 priority plans as well, in recognition of the linkages that are obviously present in Southern California between these sub-regions.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. And thank you so much. Very informational. I encourage all to join the online at a minimum. You bring a wealth of knowledge. It almost reminds me of the integrated regional water management plans that became instrumental for water infrastructure. So it's a good model to follow. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you very much. Look forward, if any of you have questions, you know where to find me, and look forward to seeing you when we come back to Southern California, probably next spring.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Patrick. For the record, we were joined by Mr. Yukparian from City of Burbank here at the River Center, so just make sure we take note of that. Okay, we're moving on to reports. I have nothing to report. Coastal Commission report?
No report.
No report.
Coastal Conservancy report?
No report.
Attorney General?
No report tonight.
National Park Service?
Yes, good evening. Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Just a couple things. I always try to bring something that's a little bit different that I don't talk about very often. So since we met last, I wanted to highlight that the Park Service did host a naturalization ceremony at the courtyard in King Gillette Ranch at the last week of June. Some of you may remember that post-COVID, we brought that practice to the rec area, and we were doing 2 naturalization ceremonies a year in partnership with the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service. And that we had not done one in 2 years, and we were able to bring that back. And so we did one 3 weeks ago and swore in 50 new citizens, and then we have another one planned in November. So we're hoping to be back to our regular schedule of 2 a year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Jody, I imagine those are open to the public if we want to congratulate people and clap for them?
Yes. Yes.
And for that one in November, do you already have a date, or?
Not yet.
When you do, will you share it?
I can, yes. And then just one last tidbit, just because it's something that I'm spending a lot of my time thinking about right now, is the National Park Service has they separate us into smaller groups that we call networks. And so I actually belong to something called the Southern Network, and it is a group of the 12 closest national parks to us. So we are one of 12. And these are parks that are closest to us in geography. They go as far as into Nevada and Arizona and in all of Southern California. And I meet once a month with these superintendents virtually, and we share resources and lessons learned and do all sorts of stuff to support one another. And we get together once a year in person and rotate where that meeting takes place. And so for the first time, I will be hosting all the Southern Network superintendents next week. And so, I mean, this is kind of just insider baseball stuff, but it's something I've been working on quite a bit, and very excited to have all 12 of those superintendents here and to show them the mountains and what a fantastic place we have here at the National Recreation Area. They are also very excited to come. And so we'll have our 2-day meeting at our headquarters next week, and I have the chance to take them out to learn more about the Wallace-Annenberg Wildlife Crossing, and then they're also going to go to Paramount Ranch to learn about our fire recovery project, our long-lasting fire recovery project. It is moving along. Yes, I wish I could announce something more specific, but it is moving along. So that's for the national parks. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Lau. Appreciate the updates. State Parks, Mr. Fink?
Yes, good evening. I have a few event announcements to share, fun things for everyone in the family. Celebrating 50 years, Malibu Creek State Park this year will be 50 years old. Join us. I'll pass these around if you want some. September 26th. It is a nighttime event. There will be music, food, alcohol, activities. Nice. Somehow we made it happen. Fossils digging with the Natural History Museum. RCD will be there with activities. We'll be giving away native plants, stories under the stars. There'll be a movie theme for all the filming that's took place at the park. And we will cap the night with the Los Angeles Astronomical Society for a stargazing party. So, I'll leave those here. If you do like stars, this weekend at Will Rogers State Historic Park, we are partnering with Tree People and the Los Angeles Astronomical Society, and we will be giving away free native plants at Will Rogers State Historic Park this weekend, Sunday. Sunday, I don't know what day that is. It's this Sunday. 6:30 to 7:30.
26th.
26th, thank you. Come down on the 26th, 6:30 to 7:30, get your free trees, and then stick around to do a nighttime hike and watch the stars at Will Rogers. And sticking at Will Rogers State Historic Park, I mentioned last time that State Parks has started their planning process for the fire recovery for Topanga State Park and Will Rogers State Historic Park. The website is now open and live, so if you want a card, you can scan it. Please give us all your feedback, opinions. We're collecting stories and photos too, so anything you can think of, please contribute. As part of the planning process, we've begun stakeholder-focused outreach discussions around particular topics. This group right here will be involved and invited to participate in one of those stakeholder discussions at some point. So stay tuned. You'll have a more formal role in that process as it moves along. And finally, I think I mentioned, but we are in negotiation with Los Angeles County Beaches and Harbors to take back over the operation of Will Rogers State Beach and Dockweiler State Beaches. California State Parks received a budget change proposal to fund the transition and to give us the staff necessary to run those park units. So within the next 2 years or earlier, depending on how negotiations go, it's intended that State Parks would take back over the operation of those 2 beaches from the county, at which point you may see some different approaches or changes or types of activities at the beach.
So it's where Will Rogers State Beach is now?
Correct. Will Rogers State Beach, which runs from Topanga Beach to Santa Monica State Beach. That's it for me. Thank you.
I just want.
Thank you, Mr. Pink. I hear a question.
I had a question on just.
Mr. Go ahead.
Yes, just a comment on, I think in the last 20 years, I've never seen so much starting to happen in our state park. So I don't know if it's your leadership or one of your priorities, but it's really starting to take off where and the parks are packed and filled on the weekends. And if you go to Malibu Creek State Park, it reflects the diversity of Los Angeles. People have found it. They love it, taking care of it. And your staff is welcoming. I mean, and you've got a lineup of cars now everywhere. So congratulations. And a lot of things happening. Time to celebrate our parks, all of them, Conservancy and state and federal parks. We're in a great place. Don't tell anyone.
Thank you, Ms. Pavley. Your comments, I believe, are shared by everybody here. Forest Service report?
No report.
Mr. Edmondson, Executive Director's report?
Mr. Chairman and members, I'm happy to report that we opened up Temescal Canyon last Friday, and we got some very positive feedback from the press. And so I'd like Willie to give us a little bit of a briefing on some of the press clippings that we got. So Willie, go ahead.
18 months after the Palisades fire, Temescal Gateway Park has reopened to the public. Fox 11 photojournalist Sam Dubin was there as visitors hit the trails again for the first time.
I had to be here for opening day.
I've been waiting and waiting. So good to be back. Look at these oak trees. They're perfect.
Welcome to Temescal Gateway Park. This is our first day of opening.
We're very proud and happy to be open to the public for hiking and picnicking and enjoying and whatever else you want to do here at the park. This is our camp store. It's one of the historic structures in the park that we successfully saved on January 7th of 2025 during the Palisades fire. The fire was coming down canyon towards the park, ended up on each ridge line on either side of us, and eventually enveloping us and kind of creeped down to our position, hit us all at once. Through the help of a lot of hard work by our fire division, we were able to suppress and then defend most of the structures here. Post-fire, what we've been doing is mitigating all the hazards within the park.
I'm very happy to be here today. It's special because I've been coming here for decades, really, since I was a kid.
We were a 53-year resident of the Palisades, got burned out, been waiting to come back. We have hiked this canyon hundreds of times, so we're just delighted to be back.
I was born and raised in Santa Monica, so I've been coming to do these hikes for a while now, and it was devastating when the fires hit. When I saw the notice about the trails opening, I was like, I needed to get out here, get the great views of the ocean once you get up top. It's just perfect.
Who doesn't love a good hike here in SoCal?
Bear with me, sorry.
May I make a comment on that while you're loading?
Please, please, Mr. Finko.
I just want to, it reminds me, because we were fortunate enough to be able to open some state parks last year, at the end of last year, and hearing the people kind of coming back for the first time brought me back too. And I think one of the things we can take a lot of pride in is how important these parks are and these places are to people in these communities that are recovering. There's not a lot of infrastructure for businesses to come back or places for people to go. So if parks can open and bring people back, it's so important to the recovery, is bringing people back to the place and getting them comfortable in that space again, and building out community through these types of experiences. So I think it's really, really cool that you guys were able to get it open this weekend. That park is really, really important to the Palisades, and so I know a lot of people are happy, and I think we should all take a lot of pride knowing that that opening of that park is going to really accelerate a lot of things in the Palisades moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Fink. The video I want to share with you is a drone shot of Temescal, an aerial drone shot. Flyover, in other words. Let's see if we can play it out.
Yeah, that's the entrance right off Sunset.
Oh, it's a shot. Best we can.
Do you say Rory was flying a plane?
It's the setting on Zoom that doesn't let them do the streaming, smooth streaming. But yeah. I'll look at those switchbacks.
Are these drones from the fire people? Is that their drones?
No, this was a CBS person who provided the drone shot.
And FYI, the Santa Monica Mountain Conservancy held our monthly meetings there in Temescal Canyon for many years.
Yeah, it is remarkable seeing how many trees seem to have survived, although we unfortunately had to take out a lot that were hazard trees that were either burned or were not going to be able to recover, and provided some threat.
So when was this taken the drone shots?
I think last week.
Last week, okay.
Is there an estimate when the full Temescal may open and the bridge repairs?
When the full Temescal will open?
No.
No estimate.
As you can see, there was a lot of damage. And all of those unforested areas are going to eventually come down. And they were held together by the mysterious forces of nature. And so, for example, the Temescal Trail is no more. There's no trail, there's no even shard of evidence that there was a trail going up to the waterfall. So people are saying, when are you going to open that up? Well, when nature gives us a break. Okay, thank you, Willie.
Thank you, Willie. Thank you, Mr. Edmondson. You heard everybody's really happy. It was great coverage. I want to thank Dash as well for our work in making sure this is being covered. Anything else, Mr.
Willie has more to show you. We'll send it to you.
Thank you, Mr.
Are these all going to be on the YouTube channel?
Yeah, we'll share it so you guys get a better quality.
Okay.
Great. Mr. Lange, MRCA report.
Okay, well, we can thank our executive director. My two-item report is now a one-item report. That was going to cover Temescal Canyon opening also. It's a special place in its Conservancy's heart. We, as mentioned, spent our meetings there. So the only other item I'm going to mention is under Park Development Watershed Planning, Elfin Hill Community Workshop number 2 will take place this Saturday, the 25th, from 2 to 4:30 at the El Sereno Senior Center, where MRCA will share updates on the new trail and recent acquisitions. And as many know, I'm so excited and pleased on the added activities associated with the Elfin Hill area. And that's really something to talk about, because it's involving a community that's not had a lot of activities and so forth, and for the members of that community. So continue to have those meetings. It sounds great. Thank you.
George, I had a quick question. On your report, it says rescues in Escondido Trail and Devil's Canyon. There's a couple Devil's Canyon. Which one does that refer to?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure. I think there are a lot of heat-related rescues going on, people all over the area, and people's pets that succumb during the heat.
I didn't know if that was the Devil's Canyon by Rocky Peak or a different one.
I don't know.
I don't know.
We can check with the ranger and have him report to you.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair Lange. Santa Clarita Watershed Recreation and Conservation Authority report.
Nothing to report tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Nelson. Wildfire Corridor Conservation Authority report. Mr. Edelman.
Is this on? Yeah. There's one event worth sharing. I think it was 2 weeks ago on the Board of Supervisors agenda. There was an item where the county was going to sell 40 acres by a wildlife crossing that was put in under Harbor Boulevard to the city of La Habra, so La Habra could meet its arena numbers. Oh, no. And so it's sort of like, right next to the big open space there, Joe. What is it? The big oil company. Well, in any case, by the big Era property too. So it was sort of like about the worst case scenario where you could put more houses next to a wildlife crossing at a pinch point. Luckily, the Board of Supervisors continued the item, and I don't know what will happen, but it's just a cautionary tale of cities doing pretty amazing things to try and meet the arena numbers. So that's all, nothing else other than that.
Thank you, Mr. Edelman. Chair Lynch, back to you. Moore Park, Watershed Parks and Recreation Conservation Authority.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Lynch. Any oral reports by staff that have not been heard?
No.
Any questions to staff?
I would just have one. It would be great if I understand that we don't have, that we don't compel reports, but it has been a while since we've heard from our Forest Service colleagues, and because of all the cuts and staffing, it would be nice if we could get a report. And similarly, from our Coastal Commission representative, the federal government is moving to remove the coastal zone management certification for the California Coastal Commission, which would have significant implications for all kinds of stuff in the coastal zone. And it would just be great if we could get at least a qualitative update from our partners as to what's going on in those arenas. I've reached out to I've reached out to her, but haven't heard back yet. But if our staff might also put a kindly note, we'd really appreciate it if they could give us an update next month or the following month. That'd be appreciated.
Maybe Sarah Christie would give the update or something like that.
If this were the legislature, they could assign the sergeant at arms to bring in the absent members. So we'll try to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Thank you, Mr. Edmiston, for taking that on. Any comments on matters not on the agenda by members of? Go ahead. I have one here. More Burbank representative.
Hi. Hiking Buddy brought this to my attention. Perhaps it was brought up before, but evidently
Can't hear.
Sorry. Hiking Buddy brought this to my attention just yesterday that the Highway 210 and La Tuna intersection, that parking area there that I think we manage because I've seen rangers there before, that recently, evidently, there have been a lot of break-ins there. This is secondhand. I haven't experienced it, thankfully, but I just want to bring that to our attention. And also, there's a sign there that says land for sale, not clear where it is. I was only able to take a picture of it today. I can read out the address if you'd like, or if you want to tell me who to email that to. I don't know if it abuts our properties there or not. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to check it out since I took the picture.
Are you talking about La Tuna Canyon?
Yes. Did I say something different? Yes, La Tuna and 210.
Yeah, that original, the big flat area where the trail starts, that is not owned by us or state parks. I believe it is privately owned. Maybe Paul has more information.
You're correct.
Yeah.
You can send it to me if he wants me to look into the ownership.
Yeah, well,
What I heard is that send it to Paul, and Paul will do a little research about it.
Okay, will do.
Yeah. Thank you. Just verifying that we don't have a closed session today.
I had one comment before you close.
Oh, please. Go ahead, Ms.
That's
Pavley.
correct, no, Mr. Chair, that's correct. No closed session.
Thank you. Ms. Pavley?
Just a real brief comment, just FYI, the Wildlife Conservation Board will actually be in town here on Thursday, August 27th. They're rarely in our region, so if you happen to be around, they meet 10 to 3, and if you come at the beginning and you have a 2 or 3 minute something to share with the Wildlife Conservation Board, that would be your chance. They don't get down here often. I have to remind them that there's a lot of things going on. So isn't it convenient that they're right here? And speaking of King Gillette Ranch, Joe can correct me on this, but it was about 20 years ago this year that the MRCA bought the 588 acres that we're sitting on for $35 million. And if anyone wants to see a picture from 20 years
History,
ago,
actual history.
we had colored film back then. You can see Joe and all of us 20 years younger. But national parks, state parks, it was a coalition of people here, city, someone from Calabasas and Agoura Hills and all the surrounding areas. So here we are 20 years later, and what could have been a huge campus.
So Fran, some of us aged, but you haven't. So.
You and I, Joe, were in our 20s then, so that puts us in the 90s now. So I'm passing this around if anyone wants to see it.
Thank you, Ms. Pavley. Well, that brings us to our announcement of our next future meeting, which is scheduled for August 17th. That I'd like to adjourn this meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.